And this one is shared by Free Assange over on the Twitter. And this is interesting. This is kind of getting away from electoral politics for a little bit and kind of going into what's happening around us. And this gets into wages. So this is from popularresistance.org. Low wage work is more pervasive than you think, and there aren't enough, quote, good jobs to go around. Even as the U.S. economy hums along at a favorable pace. Now, by the way, this is according to Wall Street, by the way. This is what, when we measure the economy, we look at Wall Street, we look at the stock market, which is absolute BS. That's a completely nonsensical way to look at the economy. The way we measure unemployment is faulty, and that's being generous. It is such a flawed, skewed statistic. It's barely worth even looking at. We don't factor in underemployed people, which are most Americans at this point. We don't factor in the disgruntled. It's a very flawed statistic. So whenever you see the corporate media or the Wall Street Journal saying how good the economy is doing, take that with a huge grain of salt. And also go a step further and realize, what are they trying to keep from us? What are they trying to distract us from by saying the economy is great? Because guess what? The economy isn't great. It hasn't been great for a long time. And we live in the United States of amnesia, where if people don't like the president, they'll look at the unemployment number and be like, that's great. Meanwhile, it's like, no, the unemployment number is skewed. This is all skewed. Look at what's actually going around you, and that's how we can measure the economy. But anyway, all right, so there's a vast segment of workers today earning wages low enough to leave their livelihood and families extremely vulnerable. So here's some interesting statistics. This new analysis found 53 million Americans between the ages of 18 to 64, accounting for 44% of all workers, qualifies low wage. Their median hourly wages are $10.22. The median annual earnings are about $18,000. So 44% of all workers are making about, in the middle, about $18,000 a year. Oh, and by the way, you know what else? You know what else is interesting about the number 44%? 44% of homeless people have jobs. They're working, and they still can't afford a place to live. So 44% of all workers are low wage. That's about half. 44% of homeless people, again about half, have jobs. The existence of low-wage work is hardly a surprise, but most people, except perhaps low-wage workers themselves, underestimate how prevalent it is. Many also misunderstand who these workers are. They're not only students, people at the beginning of their careers, or people who need extra spending money. Yeah, why should we pay living wages? The people who work minimum wage jobs, they're just high school kids trying to make a couple extra dollars. No, that's statistically completely untrue. That's completely not true at all. That's not true at all. All right, so a majority are adults in their prime working years, and low-wage work is the primary way they support themselves and their families. Imagine trying to support a family on $18,000 a year. You know?
I couldn't even support myself on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I think one thing I really, really, really want Bernie to start touching on more is his, in the Green New Deal, the federal job guarantee. Number one, because it would save so many lives, but also because there's so many misconceptions about it. People think it means like you're handcuffed to this job and it's going to be like this hellish thing and you won't be able to get out, when in actuality, it just means that if you want a job, you are guaranteed one.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like you and I, federal job guarantee during our shows. Like we could make, an actual living, guaranteed income doing what we love to do. People who stay home and take care of their sick parents, federal job guarantee. Artists who do art for a living, federal job guarantee. There's so much misconception and misinformation. And this plan alone, like think about all the incarcerated folks who get out and can't get a job because they have to check that box or things like that. Federal job guarantee. You're discriminated against LGBTQ, African Americans, people of color. Now you have a federal job guarantee. Yeah. It would help millions of people. So I really want Bernie to start touching on that more. Also, it would be a minimum of $15 an hour. That doesn't mean it would be the cap, but it would be a minimum.
Right.
So you have people who are working two $8 an hour jobs. Now they don't have to. They can spend time with their kids. They, full-time mom would be a job under the federal jobs guarantee. Like, this is how amazing it would be. It would be, you would be able to have a living wage, do as you like, not risk not, having nervous breakdowns if you feared losing your job, because you know that around the corner something else would be available for you.
But Joy, how are we going to pay for this?
It's so utopian. Well, folks, there's this thing called MMT. But we have the money. We have the resources. It's just, fear mongering is the way that you convince people that things like this aren't plausible. I mean, they don't want people to think, oh, this can happen. It's easier to just convince people we have no power, and things like that are, quote, ponies, than actually caring enough to give us the power to say we can do this.
Well, here's the thing. We already have a federal jobs guarantee. It's just called the military. And it sends people off to fight in wars we shouldn't be in, and to protect oil. I mean, Donald Trump just openly said that. That's why the military-industrial complex doesn't like Donald Trump, because he says things that they don't want him to say. Not because he cares about ending the wars, but because he doesn't know any better. So he says stuff. It's like, no, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to dress that up a little bit. You're supposed to be likable and flowery. See George W. Bush. See Reagan. See Barack Obama. See those guys. Clinton. They all did it right. You're not doing it right.
And that's one of the reasons I think the government fears free college tuition, because why do people go in the military? Free college. Yeah. I mean, for a couple decades, that's been the number one reason people went in the military. Free college and job guarantee when they get out or during.
Yeah, I mean, so many people.
Those two things away, who's going to want to join the military?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Only real people who are like, protect the USA, and there's not as many of those.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make